Hello, good morning, everybody. Thank you for having 2 minutes with us there. And welcome back to the Small Business Saturday webinar program. It's lovely to have you. We're already in week 2 of the Small Business Saturday tour, which we can't believe is going so fast. So today we've got the lovely Sarah Berthon with us, who's going to talk all about how you can thrive with chronic illness and balance kind of self-care and success with running a small business. We've got an excellent session with us today. If you have got some questions, please do pop them in the Q&A at the bottom, as we will be going through those at the end. I want to say a big thank you to BT for supporting the tour and making today possible. And thank you all for joining. Good morning, good morning. Hi, nice to see everyone getting involved in the chat there. I will hand over to you now, Sarah, and I will put back at the end for questions.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for joining today. This is a topic that's so close to my heart, and I'm really pleased that you've been able to join us today. So please do say hi in the chat and let us know where you're from. So my name is Sarah Berthon, and I run Excel Against the Odds. And as I say, I believe it's really important to balance self-care and business success when you have a chronic illness. And it's something I learnt the hard way. So a little bit about my background. I have several chronic illnesses, including Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, POTS syndrome, chronic migraine, IBS, and SIBO. And I probably had Ehlers-Danlos all my life, but didn't realise until quite recently, actually. And it was only when I was finally diagnosed with POTS after a long period of time that I realised that what was actually going on with my health. Originally, I had a career as a management consultant, specialising in IT, and I had a job where I travelled around the world and helping people with their IT systems and with their businesses. And I found myself at a point where I couldn't do that any longer. My health was just too bad. And so I had to take some time out and then got another job, but I wasn't able to be, I had ambitions and I wasn't able to meet that. And eventually I came up with the idea of starting my own business. I decided to start a business making skincare for children and running parties and making kits so that children can make their own skincare. So focused on starting with bath bombs and lip balms, all natural vegan ingredients. And I loved it. I absolutely loved what I was doing. I really loved all like the chemistry of making up these, coming up with different formulations, and then running the parties and sharing all that knowledge with children and seeing them develop an interest in it as well. But I didn't know how to run a business from scratch. So I was looking on the internet, following coaches, getting sessions from people all around how to run a business. And I found that my health was getting worse. I just couldn't keep up with the effort of running a business, trying to do all of the things and raise my family and look after my health at the same time. And I'd go through these phases where my health would get worse, and then I'd have to take time out and then try and push myself to do a bit more. And it was just like getting into this cycle. And I found myself one Christmas, I was about to, day before a massive Christmas fair. It was the biggest Christmas fair that I was going to be doing. And I got up in the morning in absolute agony. I already had one frozen shoulder, and then suddenly my other shoulder, I just couldn't move it at all. Couldn't even get dressed, anything. So I had to go to hospital and get it sorted. And it turns out that I had bursitis through overuse of that shoulder. And at that point, I promised myself that I wouldn't do that anymore. I would learn how to run a business in a chronic illness friendly way. And so I set about trying to find that out. I searched for help everywhere and I couldn't find it. So I set up a Facebook group called Entrepreneurs Against the Odds, and then spent the next few years trying to understand how to run a business in a chronic illness friendly way so that I could help others to avoid making the mistakes that I made. And so I've set up my business, Excel Against the Odds, where I offer mentoring and training and membership around running business with a chronic illness, and also supporting organisations who've got employees with chronic illnesses. And the first place is that I started was the Entrepreneurs Against the Odds Facebook group, which is a lovely, friendly place full of people with business owners with chronic illnesses. I also host the Excel Against the Odds podcast, where I talk to guests about the successes and challenges of running a business with a chronic illness. In 2021, I was part of the Small Biz 100, which was absolutely amazing. And this year, I joined the steering board of the Lilac Review, and that is a review which is backed by the government It's run by Small Business Britain, and it's looking at how to make um, entrepreneurship fairer for disabled business owners. And it's such an exciting project. There's a lot of work going on at the moment, and I'm absolutely delighted to be a part of that. And I really thank Small Business Britain for all their work with the Lilac Review. So, if you are a business owner with a chronic illness, you might recognise the chronic illness business cycle where you work hard in your business to make it a success. When you start a business, you want to do everything you can to make sure that it works and you're having the impact that you want to have and you're bringing in the finances that you want to have. And because you're wearing all the hats, it often means that you're doing a lot of work and you don't really have time to look after your health. As a result, you might find that your health symptoms increase. You might start getting some things that maybe haven't happened before, or you're just having a bit of a flare up. So you take time out of your business, or you slow down to try and look after your health. And then you find yourself feeling a bit behind in your business. So then you have to start working hard in your business again to catch up with everything that you've fallen behind on. And you get into this cycle. And I call that the chronic illness business cycle. And it's something I recognize in a lot of people that I work with. And it's very difficult to find that even keel, but that's what I want to try and help you to do today. So, what if you could have a success in your business without it negatively impacting your health? Or you could set up your business so you can take whole time off when either you need it or you want it. Maybe you want a nice holiday. And what if prioritizing your well-being was good for your business? Well, it can be. So in this webinar, we're going to look at how you can prioritize your well-being when you're running a business, how to manage your energy so that you're working on the right sort of tasks, depending on the right sort of energy level that you have, and how to set up your business in a chronic illness friendly way. And the key benefits of doing all this is that you can have success in your business without negatively affecting your health. You can get bigger returns on your energy investment. So most people with chronic illnesses have limited energy or they have fluctuating energy levels. So you want to make sure that any energy you spent has a big return on it. And you also want to look at creating flexibility in your business as well, so that you can take time off when you want it or when you need it. So let's start with prioritizing your well-being. A lot of people with business owners with chronic illnesses or just business owners in general find it really difficult to prioritize their well-being. There are so many other things to be focusing on when you have a business, and I often hear the words, I just don't have time. The problem is, if you don't have time, if you're not able to make time to prioritize your well-being, your health will force you to do it. You'll suddenly start finding those little niggles are starting to take place, or you find yourself getting very tired. So, in order to change that so that your health isn't forcing you to take time off, you need to find time in the first place to do that. So, the first thing to do is to plan your taking care of your well-being in your diary. So, before you fill your diary up with everything that you need to do, put some time in your diary every week, hopefully multiple times a week, to prioritize your self-care. So, think about activities that you like, that are really good for you, that are good for your well-being, and that bring you joy, and put those in your diary. So, for example, you might decide that every lunchtime you want to take an hour off and go for a walk, or read a book, or listen to some music. If you don't put it in your diary, then other things are going to get in there, and you're not going to have a chance to do it, or you'll forget. We get so caught up in our day-to-day life of running a business that it's very often very difficult to think about, oh, I can just do this now. So you need to actually start planning it, put in reminders and make sure that you do it. Make it a non-negotiable in your day. So take some time today to think about what your non-negotiables are. How are you going to take care of yourself? Do you want to go for a weekly massage? Do you want to have a daily walk? Do you want to spend more time lying down and reading? And make that time intentional. A lot of people feel really guilty when they take time out. They find themselves sitting watching Netflix or scrolling through their phones and they feel really guilty about it. But they actually need that time because your body needs time to rest and replenish. But if you actually are intentional about it and say, actually, I'm going to spend that hour and I'm going to do something that I really enjoy, I'm going to read that book or I'm going to watch that comedy series because I know it's going to bring me joy, then there's no need to feel guilty about it. It's time for you, and you can actually reframe it because it's good for your business as well. If you're taking care of yourself, then your business is going to thrive as a result of it. And you're going to get out of that cycle of where you are pushing yourself too hard and then crashing. So planning time in your diary to really take care of yourself makes a huge difference. The next thing that's really important is to listen to your body. Your body often gives you clues as to what it needs. So you might be sitting at your computer and your shoulders start to feel achy, or your eyes start to feel tired. That's your body's way of telling you that you need to take care of yourself. So if you're getting achy shoulders, then maybe it's time to get up from your desk, possibly do some stretches, roll your shoulders around, and think about what's going on in your body. If your eyes are getting tired, you've probably spent too long staring at your computer. That might lead to headaches or increased fatigue. So maybe take some time to look away from your computer screen, look out the window, maybe just go out of your room completely and have a change of scenery. Go out for a little walk, get some fresh air, look into the distance. Those sorts of things, it's a good way of paying attention to what your body needs, listening to it, and creating action so that your body doesn't have to break down and tell you what exactly is going wrong. If you ignore those symptoms, like I did when I was planning for my Christmas fair, then your body will eventually tell you off and almost like punish you for not listening to it. So it's definitely worth starting to tune into your body, pay attention to it. If you find it difficult to do that, maybe set an alarm for every 15 minutes or every 30 minutes to just sit and think, actually, how am I feeling? Scan your body and think about what's going on in your body. How can I help it? What can I do now to make my body feel a bit better? There's a fantastic phrase which is listen to your body's whispers so you don't have to hear it scream. And that's something that really resonates with me. And I think it's something to really sort of bear in mind. Listen to those little things that your body is telling you so you don't have to deal with the consequences if it gets worse. And then the final thing is to be really kind to yourself. We have a lot of pressures in our lives these days, and there's a constant cycle of having to push yourself hard to run your business. But actually, you need to take time to be really kind to yourself. If you're not able to do something because you're not well enough, it doesn't matter. You just have to be kind to yourself and be forgiving. It doesn't matter that you can't do all of the things. Just need to take care of yourself, look after yourself, and be kind to yourself. And if you find yourself criticizing yourself, then think about how you would talk to a friend in a similar situation. If a friend couldn't do something because they weren't feeling well, would you tell them off? Would you blame them? Or would you say to them, you're doing the right thing? Look after yourself, put yourself first. And you'll find that actually, if you're talking to a friend, you'd be very compassionate and very understanding. So learn to talk to yourself in a similar way. And if you find that difficult, maybe try writing a letter to yourself as if it were a friend. So even write it to a friend. And then at the end, after you've written your letter, cross the name out and put your own name in it and then read it to yourself again. Learn to be really kind to yourself because living with chronic illness is really tough. Running a business is tough. So the best thing you can do is look after yourself and be kind to yourself. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was managing your energy levels. If you have a chronic illness, it's often quite likely that you might have either fluctuating energy levels or that you might suffer with chronic fatigue. And so we need to try and manage your energy levels as much as possible. And a way to do that is to sort of track your energy levels, see how they differ from day to day, hour to hour, week to week, and start to see if any patterns emerge. You might find that you have more energy first thing in the morning, or you might find that you have more energy in the afternoon. And you want to try and understand what those patterns are so that you can plan your work around it. So, for example, if you find that you've got low energy levels in the morning, then you don't want to be doing tasks that take up a lot of your energy or that are particularly brain consuming at that time of day. You want to save those tasks for when you have the right sort of energy levels. So by start tracking your energy and start to form a picture, you can start to plan your work around it. It's also worth understanding what impact different tasks have on your energy as well. You'll find that some tasks are energy draining, whereas some tasks actually raise your energy. And some could be a bit of a combination of both. So, for example, I find networking, it's tiring physically, but mentally it energizes me and gives me that boost that I sometimes need to sort of get on and make some really good progress. So start really thinking about how different tasks, different events have effects on your energy levels and start planning around that. We all know what it's like. You might, for example, be writing a blog or updating your website. If you've got low energy levels and you're trying to write a blog, it can literally take you all day to write that blog. And you'll come to the end of the day and you'll find that you're not that happy with that blog. It doesn't have the right voice. It's not as good as you would have liked. And you might have to go back the next day and rewrite it. If you try and write that blog when you've got the right energy levels, you'll suddenly find that you're able to complete it in an hour and it's of really high quality. So when we've got those low energy days or low energy moments, we need to listen to that and try and do tasks that don't need that much energy. So there's often tasks we can do, such as checking our finances, making sure it all tallies up together, or finding some images for social media, going on commenting on other people's posts. Think about what sort of task you can do for those low energy moments. So you're not wasting that time doing something which is going to actually make you more tired and it's going to drain you and that is going to take a lot longer than it would otherwise do. So really worth thinking about energy and planning your work around that. Another thing to bear in mind is that it takes quite a lot of energy to switch from task to task. So if you're working on doing something which is quite creative, and then you're trying to switch into doing something quite strategy, and then you're changing to do something quite a different type of task, it's very difficult for your brain to keep changing like that, and it can drain you of energy as well. So trying to focus on doing one type of task at a time, then giving yourself a break before switching on to a different type of task is another really good way of managing your energy as well. And then finally, I want to give some ideas about running a chronic illness friendly business, because we want to make sure that we do have time to be able to prioritize our well-being and that we do have time to be able to switch to different types of tasks depending on our energy levels as well. So there are a few things that we can put in place to make sure that we are building our business in a chronic illness friendly way. The first thing to think about is your business model. There are so many ways of running a business, and it's about finding the right business model for you. Generally, if somebody has a chronic illness, they might have less time to spend in their business working on it than somebody who doesn't have a chronic illness. So we want to make sure we find a business model which means that we can have more impact and make more money using up less energy. And so to do that, we want to think about how the best way to run a business is. And that depends very much on the type of business you're running. But if you are working currently on a one-to-one model, then you might want to see if there's ways of changing that so you can work with many people at once, so that you can maybe charge less but have more impact on more people at one time. So you're using up less of your energy. So it's worth really sort of looking at your business model and seeing if it is the right business model for you and for your health. Um, that's something it can be quite enlightening actually when you start looking at your business model to see if there are other ways of doing it. And it's quite amazing how many different ways there are to run a single business. There are so many different things that you can do. So it's definitely worth looking at your business model and seeing if it is the right business model for you or if there are any other tweaks to make. It's also worth looking at if you yourself need to do all of the work in your business or whether there are other people that you can outsource it to or delegate to. Um, Especially if you are thinking about growing your business, it's worth thinking about the plans for if your business does take off, how you can grow your business, how you can actually run it. So it's putting less pressure on you to run your business as well. So a lot of people that I work with often have a fear of success because they're worried that if their business does take off, how they're going to be able to cope with it, how their health is going to cope with it as well. So having a think about your business model for now and your business model for the future, if your business really takes off, is really important. So you can start thinking about planning for success. If my business takes off and I have X number of clients, how can I set my business up so that it can still run and it's not going to have any greater impact on me or my health? Doing that can really take the pressure off and takes away that fear of success, which often means that people aren't pushing themselves in the way that they would like to because they're worried about what will happen if it does take off. So that's a really good exercise to do, especially at this time of year as well, when you're thinking about the year ahead and making plans for the year ahead. Then think about what you can do for your business and how you can sort it out so that you can grow your business without worrying about the impact it's going to have on your health. The next thing to think about is planning and prioritizing your work. So, as I touched upon just a minute ago, planning around your energy is really important. Planning around your self-care is also important as well, because you want to make sure that you've got enough time for self-care and that you're working alongside your energy levels as well. I also mentioned about the fact that often it can be quite draining to switch from task to task. So when you're planning your business, think about batching your work so that you're working one type of task at a time, rather than switching from one type to another type all the time, because that can be very draining and stop you from making much progress in each type of task. So focusing on one thing at a time can be really useful when you're running a business. It's often worth thinking about your end goal as well. So what do you want your business to look like? What would you like your day-to-day to look like? Do you want to be working 5 days a week, or do you want to be taking a day off a week to do something that you really love? Do you want to be finishing at 5 o'clock, or do you want to be finishing earlier? So really thinking about what you want your business to look like and what you want your life to look like as well, so that you can build your business around that. And then comes in boundaries, setting boundaries so that you are living the life that you want to live. So, for example, if you want to finish at, say, 4 o'clock every day and somebody contacts you at 6 o'clock, then maybe not responding to that message straight away, but contacting the next morning instead. If we set boundaries for ourselves, then people will respect those boundaries and there's no need to feel guilty about it. Having boundaries can feel quite scary. It feels like we might be losing potential customers, but actually, people really respect it. If they know that you are working certain hours and that you're going to be responding only in those hours, then they'll respect that. If you start then responding out of those hours, then they will expect that as well. And you can do that through communication. So having it on your website, having it in your email signature. There's various different ways that you can communicate that sort of information. Another thing you can do is build in time in your business so that if you do need to take time off, you can still meet your clients' expectations. So, for example, if you are running a business where you are, for example, making something and then sending it in the post to them, and you know it takes you, say, 2 days to make it and get it into the post, rather than telling them that it will take 2 days, you could say, I have a turnaround time of 5 days plus postage. That then gives you a bit of leeway if you're having a bad health day, or if you anything else crops up, you can take longer if necessary. And then if you deliver it early, then a customer is really happy. So I always like the analogy of catching a bus. If you catch a bus and you think it's going to take 2 hours to get to your destination, then if you get there and you get stuck in a traffic jam and it takes 4 hours, you're going to be really upset. However, if you have a journey that you're told is going to take 5 hours and you actually get there in 4 hours, then you're going to be really happy. So if even though it's 4 hours both times, the first one you're really upset and the second one you're really happy. And it's all down to expectations. So explaining your expectations to your clients can be really useful. And then so setting an extended extension for, sorry, I can't think my words. So having an extended time for delivery, but then delivering quicker will make your customer very happy. Whereas if you promised it a short amount of time and then it takes longer, your customer won't be so happy. So think about when you're planning in your business, how you can make your client happy, how you can create boundaries for yourself, and how you can make sure that you are looking after yourself and that it all works really nicely together. And then finally, preparing for time off is very important as well. We all want to take holidays, but when we have a chronic illness, there are also going to be times when you have to take time off because you're not feeling well, or you need to have surgery, or you just really need to have a bit of a break in order to replenish your energy levels and feel refreshed. And so you want to set your business up for that. And there are a few different things that you can do. One of the best things you can do is set up automations so that you can automatically take orders, automatically fulfill as many orders as possible. Obviously, it's different if you're sending something in the post, but there are different ways that you can set your business up to take time out. The other good thing that you can do is to look at how you can outsource certain tasks as well. So tasks that you don't enjoy or tasks that you find are draining. Setting up your business so that you can pass work over to somebody else can be really important as well. And then even having some email templates ready in case you need to communicate to a client that actually you've got to take time off, that you can't join a Zoom call today, or that you're going to be late in delivering something. Having that available can be really useful as well. I think sometimes when we're feeling ill, it's very difficult to come up with the right words or to come up with the best way of communicating. So trying to prepare things in your business so that you can take time off when you need it can really help so that you don't feel that pressure when you are taking that time off, that you can really take that time to relax and get better. I think that is really, really key. And then the other thing you can do is sort of plan things in advance and schedule as much as possible. So, for example, newsletters and social media, you can batch that at one time and have it planned so it's all scheduled to go whenever it needs to go. And that can take a lot of pressure off. It means that if you're sick, your business is still running. Um, and it just also means it takes that pressure off when you're working on a day-to-day basis as well. You haven't got that constant pressure of, oh, I must produce some social media content today, or oh gosh, I haven't written that newsletter yet. If you can batch it so you're working on one task at one time and you can then schedule it for a future time, it just takes all that pressure off. And I love that feeling when I start getting comments on posts and like, oh gosh, I forgot I posted that. I'd written it a week ago and it's all scheduled to go out. It's a really lovely feeling as well. So that's another way you can prepare for time off, is to sort of do some batch work in advance so that it's ready to go off on its own time without you having to have any input on it at all. So there's a lot more you can do to prepare your business so that it's friendly for people with chronic illnesses. But I just wanted to touch on a few points here just to give you some ideas of what you can look at and how you can make differences in your business so it can run really well despite your chronic illness. As I mentioned, I've got a Facebook group, the Entrepreneurs Against the Odds Facebook group. It's been running now for 5 years, and always very welcome to for anybody new to join. It's a lovely, friendly group. Everyone's so lovely in it, and they support one another and help each other out as well, which is really lovely. So you've got a QR code there and the web link below. And what happened there? Sorry, I don't know what happened there. And then I've also got a workbook here as well, which goes through a few of the things that we've touched on today. It talks about um, boundaries in your business and how to prioritize your self-care, and just gives you a few ideas and a way to work out some of the things that we've discussed in this webinar today. So do download it, it's free, and just use it as you want to try and find out a bit more about how you want to run your business so that it works for you and your chronic illness as well. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out. Sarah at againsttheodds.co.uk, or let me know if you have any questions.
Oh, thank you so much, Sarah. That was such an excellent session. I especially, I really liked what you were saying about having these kind of email templates ready to go so that you can, you can send that email and still feel professional and your best you're putting your best self forwards, even if you're maybe having a bit of a more challenging day. So thank you for that. Some great pieces of advice there. I will dive straight into questions. One question is from someone has asked this one anonymously: how to navigate anxiety when you want to work on your business, however you're scared that you might need to stop at some point when your chronic disease will get more harsh than usual.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's around sort of setting up your business so you can take time out. I think a lot of people with chronic illness do have anxiety because it's normal if you're experiencing pain and a change in circumstances quite regularly, then you never quite know where you are going to be. So it's completely understandable to have that anxiety. I think the best thing to do is to try and set up your business. So think about how your business can still run even if you're not feeling well, what steps you can put in place so that obviously you won't be able to do everything, but you can keep the bare minimum ticking over. Maybe put in place, I say, like templates so that that can still run. Think about what tasks you can do on a bad health day so that it doesn't drain much energy, but you can still feel like you're doing something. There are various different steps you can put in place. And the best thing to do is to be really kind to yourself. If you've got to take time out, you've got to take time out. It your business can still be picked up afterwards. It's the most important thing is to look after yourself and to be really kind to yourself, and put yourself first.
Yeah, I mean, there's no business without you, so you've got to look after yourself. Absolutely. Another question has come in, which is, how would you deal with somebody who has chronic illnesses but also ADHD? That means that managing energy levels is tricky as the brain takes over and ignores maybe what the body's problems or needs are.
Yeah, absolutely. That can be really hard because I think a lot of people have either with ADHD or somebody who just wants to do everything themselves, who's very excited about their business. It can often be very difficult to rein back in those desires to do as much as possible. I think using things like alarms to remind you to take time out can be really useful. So setting an alarm to take, okay, I'm going to take an hour's break now. And try and be firm with yourself. Actually, I know that I was really enjoying doing that bit of work, but I do know that I need to take time out for myself, and sort of really starting to pay attention to that. Um, Also trying to maybe outsource can be quite useful in that situation as well, so that you are almost like answerable to somebody, so that you can hand off a piece of work. And also I find something that's really useful is having an accountability partner, somebody who you can work alongside, where you can sort of support one another and give each other ideas. So if you say to somebody, I'm going to take next week off, no, I'm going to take a day off next week to look after my self-care, and then they say to you, oh, have you taken today off? You feel like you have to say, yes, I did, rather than, oh no, actually I did work. So it does, having that sort of accountability can be really useful as well.
Fabulous, great advice. How do you improve concentration when you have permanent tiredness levels? I find social media in particular hard to navigate when I'm feeling tired all the time.
Yes, having tiredness can be really, really difficult. It's again, if you can try and find, I know a lot of people are tired all the time. I definitely do experience that, but trying to find time when you have slightly less tiredness to do the tasks that you find draining. Um, and then also batching it so that you're doing, if you're, for example, doing social media, don't try and do the planning of it, the writing of it, the finding the images of it, and the posting of it all at the same time. Break it up so that you're doing, for example, having a bit of time to think up ideas for a week or a month, and then come back another time and think about finding the images, and then have another break, and then come back another time and think about what the captions might be. Having that sort of change so you're not always trying to do everything at once can be really useful. It's like you're working on one task at a time and you can then concentrate on one thing at a time. I think trying to do switch from one thing to another is just really hard on your brain, particularly when you've got a chronic illness or you've got ADHD.
Yeah, excellent. Wonderful. If anyone's got any more questions, I see people sharing lots of advice for each other in the chat. That's so lovely to see. I'm as helping other people as well. I'm a big fan of Pomodoro, just having a music on, and I know when that alarm goes, I'm like, oh, it's time for a break.
Absolutely, we do. In my membership, we do that. We do co-working sessions where we do two lots of 25 minutes, and it's amazing how much you can achieve in that 25 minutes. If you tell somebody you're going to be working on something and then you get on and do it, you just make sure you feel like you have to do it. So it's really motivating.
It is. That's a really good idea, doing that kind of co-working with other people as well, like accountability. I love that. Focus
Yes,
buddy,
brilliant.
great. Oh, wonderful. Fabulous. If anyone's got any other questions, do pop them in the chat, or I'm sure Sarah would be happy to answer them if you wanted to reach out to her as well. Um,
Absolutely.
app's good. Oh, it's lovely to see everybody helping each other out in the chat. That's so positive to see. Well, thank you everybody for joining today, and Sarah for hosting this session. We have got sessions on Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. In the run up to Small Business Saturday, which is the 7th of December. If you do attend 10 sessions with us, we will send you a little free Christmas gift. So make sure you sign up to 10 and come to 10 if you would like that. Any final words of wisdom before we go, Sarah?
Just think, have a great week. Look after yourself. Think about what steps you can put in place to prioritise your well-being, and just have fun as well. Try and find moments of joy in your day. It can be very time-consuming running a business, particularly when you've got a chronic illness. So think about what brings you joy, and then put it into your diary and make sure you do it. Do that first, and then your business will flourish around it.
Fabulous. Oh, that's lovely. I love that. Thank you so much. For those of you asking about the recording, we will be sending this out to you via email, but you can also find it on the Small Business Saturday Facebook page. So have a look there if you want to go back and watch this video, this webinar again, or anything else in the series. And I hope that you all have wonderful days. Take care.
Thank you.